Welcome to Kevin Deal Photography, where I take you on my journey through photography. On today's episode, we're going to be taking a look at the Cheetah Stand QPB-36. Welcome to today's episode. If you're not familiar with Kevin Deal Photography, we do gear reviews, tips, techniques, and tutorials, and sometimes we dive into film. If any of that sounds appealing to you, click the subscribe button below. I want to thank Cheetah Stand for allowing me to test out the QPB-36. I have been very interested in testing out this modifier, but like all my reviews, it's going to be completely independent and my opinions are going to be my own. I'll tell you what I love about this modifier, and I'll tell you what I think needs to be improved upon about this modifier. If you're not familiar, the QPB-36, it comes in two sizes. It comes in a 36 and a 48. I have the 36 model, which is a smaller one. I'm going to use it on a shoot today, a beauty session. I'm going to be using my Fuji GFX 100S along with my Hasselblad 500 CM, which I just got and I'm testing out. So I want to just see how this modifier works. It is marketed as a softbox. I will use it that way, but I also intend to use it as a reflector because I love the fact that I'm able to zoom that light, make it harder, make it softer. I'll give you the rundown real quick and we'll dive right into the review. So the QPB modifiers come in two form factors. You can use them as a standalone softbox or you can use them as a focusing system. You can get it in a Bowens mount, you can get it in a Bowens plus Speed Pro S2 bracket, you can get it in Einstein, Alien Bees, Paul C buff, you can get it in an Allen Chrome mount, or you can get it in a Pro Photo clamp type. Just buy it in that respective mount and you're good to go. On today's review, we're going to be focusing, pun intended, on the focusing system version, which comes in at a price of $429 US. Now, the reason you would get a modifier like this over another modifier is that you can zoom the light. So as you take the light and you move it closer to the back, it focuses, it's several stops brighter, and then as you take the light and move it forward on the rod system, it becomes softer. And so it kind of works as both a beauty dish and a softbox and anywhere in between. The rod is constructed of lightweight fiberglass. With this twist lock mechanism you see right here, you can lock and unlock the system. When it's unlocked, you can slide the rod forward and backward. There is a sandbag ring on the back. It is absolutely necessary to use a sandbag when using this focusing system. It comes with two diffusers, a grid, and it also comes with a carrying bag. To attach your favorite light in the respective mount, you just use this little bird's nest accessory right here that also comes with the system. The modifier consists of 18 rods that you open and close one at a time with these releases that you see here on the back. The exterior of the QPB is a tough, flexible material that's tear resistant. Compared to my glow modifiers, I would say it's much better constructed. Okay, now that you've seen an overview of the system, let's see what it can actually do. I'm going to be upfront with you that my review today isn't going to be too geeky and technical. I know there's a lot of videos out there on what is truly a parabolic modifier and what isn't truly a parabolic modifier. I often find myself going to those technical reviews too. Go check out Carl Taylor or Rob Hall if you want to see those types of videos. They do those types of reviews much better than I do. I'm a firm believer that results are results, so let's see what kind of results we can get with the QPB-36. With this being my first session with the QPB-36, I decided I solely wanted to use it as a parabolic reflector, so no diffusion, no grids. I just zoomed in, zoomed out, let it work naturally, and I like the results I got with the GFX. I think it looked fantastic, but I was chomping at the bit to try out my Hasselblad, so I put in some Portra 160, I put in some Fuji Acros,
which is a good thing because both film stocks are pretty tolerant. They're tried and true in the studio. That came in handy because I was really pushing my highlights on some of these shots. However, they handled things very well, and I really loved the way the modifier looked on my film shots. So here's another shoot I did with a really talented model named Margaret. I wanted to do a little bit more full body work, 3/4 body work. I wanted to also test out more of the zooming capabilities of the QPB-36. And I gotta say, I think it did a fantastic job. Let's check out some of the results right here. So now that we have a few sessions under our belt with the QPB system, let's take these files into the studio, into Capture One, let's look at them, and then I'll tell you what I love about this system and what I think could be improved upon. So here's a portfolio building shoot I did for a newly signed agency model. I was teaching him how to pose, how to work in front of the camera, and I also used it as an opportunity to further test out the QPB-36. One thing that immediately stands out to me is the beautiful quality of light as I was moving the focusing rod back and forth. And man, look at that catch light. I've always been a sucker for parabolic reflectors and the quality of their catch light. So let's move on to some color shots. I thought this whole sequence in this Corvette jacket looked pretty cool. This is just one QPB-36. It lit up the jacket really well. It lit up his eyes really well. When you look at the sculpting of the shadows, the fall off on the jawline, it produces a very prominent jawline. And that's one of the cool things I love about the way that this modifier wraps. So I pulled the focusing rod all the way back, I put the 2 layers of diffusion on, and I thought it produced a fantastic soft light here. The way that it projected, because I had that rod to the back, so it was super bright and it was going through that double diffusion. And I just think that this looks fantastic. I love the way that the light quality turned out here. Like right there, he used this for his portfolio. The modeling agency was super happy with that shot. And I really like this sequence down low right here. I love this beautiful shadow that you see right here. I love the quality of light from a single modifier. So that's just a further example I wanted to show you. I also wanted to make sure that I showed you what the double diffusion looked like, because that does come with this modifier when you purchase it. So now that I've spent a considerable amount of time with the QPB-36, what are my thoughts? Well, they can be summed up in one word, and that is versatility. This modifier saves me a lot of time. As a photographer who often finds himself in the studio, I love hard lights, I love soft light, and I love everything in between. I like to shoot with magnum reflectors. I like to shoot with a beauty dish. I like to shoot with a softbox. And with this modifier, most of the time, all I have to do is go over to the focusing system and move it forward or move it backward, and it changes the way my light hits my subject. And for the better. The quality of light in it is fantastic. I think the catch light in it is gorgeous. And so for the money, it's really hard to beat this system anywhere on the market. Speaking of versatility, you can also just take it off and use it as a softbox. If you find yourself just needing a softbox, it can get that job done. Now, if you're just looking at this product to just be a softbox for you, Cheetah Stand and other companies offer other solutions. This isn't really ideal for just being a softbox. You really want to use it with the focusing system to take advantage of the shape of the modifier. As I said, it's a great value for the money. Are there better focusing systems out there that are parabolic? Yeah, Broncolor is probably going to be a lot better. It's also going to run you about $5,000. And so if you just want the absolute best quality of light you can possibly get and money is not an object, well then yeah, there are other offerings, just not really at this price point. So I own a galaxy of modifiers, and I can say that by far the QPB-36 is the most durable that I own. It's very well constructed, it's very rugged, and I'm not really worried about the long-term wear on it. I would imagine that if you took it out into like crazy elements where it's super windy and you have like straight line winds, oh shit, that could really wear it out quickly. But if you're using it in the studio, I can see this thing lasting a really long time, like several years. And so that's something that doesn't concern me at all. If you're a photographer who shoots strobes and you plug into the wall, rest assured there is a really cool hole on there that you can feed your power cable through. I shoot battery powered, so I don't really care about that. I find that even though there's a ton of weight up on the system, I find that it's very easy to move the rod forward and backward. So if you're not like super buff and don't have a ton of upper body strength, moving the rod system back and forth isn't going to be that big of an issue. Now let's talk about the things that I think could be improved upon and some considerations you may want to take before buying this modifier. You really need to pay attention to the tips of the umbrella and make sure that the rods are seated in them correctly. There were a few times when I was initially setting it up where I wasn't paying attention to that. I would get the modifier completely built out, and then I would see that one of the rods wasn't in, and so it wasn't making a perfect circle. When you were looking at it from the front, it looked kind of like it was gangster leaning one way. And so just make sure you're mindful of that. That's not necessarily a con of the unit. It's just flexible and it flexes and those pop out. So just make sure it's in there. I guess that's more of a consideration than a con. The other thing, I don't really know how this would be physically possible, but I own modifiers like Parapops from Glow where you just hit one button and it completely collapses. With the 18 rods on this having so much tension on them, I don't even know if that's physically possible. I don't make umbrellas for a living, but I wish for flying cars, and I wish that the algorithm on my iPhone would stop screwing up my autofill. But, you know, maybe you get your wishes, maybe you don't. So I'll just throw my wish out here, which is with the 18 rods, it is a bit time consuming to, pull them out and take them down. It'd be great if there's just a one button mechanism. I'd even pay a little extra for it. Time is money, right? I also found that there's a bit of a learning curve to trying to get the rods to expand and collapse. There's a bit of a rhythm to those little tabs that you got to push down, pull the rod up, let go of the tab, and then it locks. Not a big pain, but just something that you're going to need to consider. I also want to talk about a consideration, which is that it is super heavy. I'm talking like 50 plus pounds when you consider the fact that you've got the rod system, you've got the modifier, you've got some large light in there, possibly like a 8600 or something like that. You also have a sandbag on the other side, which could be like 20, 25 pounds. And so if you don't have a lot of upper body strength, okay, 50 pounds doesn't sound like that much to do overhead press with. But if for some reason one of your lugs isn't tight, and your system falls and your hand happens to be under a large stand while it falls, it could break your hand. So when I'm out in the field and I'm like shooting on a speed light and I have one of those carbon fiber stands and I'm just in a super big hurry to get the shot, I'm not paying attention to whether or not my stand like falls because it's all pretty light. With this, you really can't do that. You really need to slow down. You really need to take the time to make sure that those lugs are super tight. And then when you do make adjustments to it, be very slow with it. Anticipate the weight, and I think you'll be fine. The other consideration you need to make is that you need to purchase a very robust stand for this. I purchased one of those gigantic stands from Flashpoint. It was a couple $100. It holds like 65 pounds max, but you can't put this on a regular stand. It'll collapse. It'll fall over. You're going to destroy it. You're going to destroy your lights. And so just don't do that. But that's something that you need to consider. When you look at the price of this, there's probably about a $200 additional investment in a very robust rolling stand with locking wheels and all that. And so take that into consideration if you're going to try to purchase this product. But overall, I have to say, this is a very awesome modifier. it's going to live as my key modifier in my studio moving forward. I'm going to pull out my other modifiers in moderation when I need to do some sort of special type of shoot. But in general, the type of light that this modifier produces covers the majority of the work that I do in the studio. And so, as I said earlier, time is money. If I can just set up my system, adjust my rods to control the concentration of my lights, I'm good to go. And speaking of, one final thing to keep in mind is that when the light is focused toward the back, it is several stops brighter than when it's pushed forward and it's spread out. So keep that in mind when you're making adjustments to your cameras. That does it for today's episode. I thank each and every one of you for watching. I want to thank Cheetah Stand for letting me check out the QPB-36. It's an incredible modifier. If you like what you saw, tell me about it in the comments below. If you like this channel, I humbly ask you, click the subscribe button below. Your subscriptions do mean a lot to me. Your comments are fuel for future episodes. And until next time, I'll talk to you soon. Bye.